This is a tutorial on how to loom knit a mini cat, and here's what it looks like. And you'll need your flower loom, and you'll want to E-wrap or drawstring cast on 12 pegs. I would suggest doubling up your yarn if you want to really firmly stuff your mini cat, but for this I'm just going to show you with a single strand of yarn, but I would suggest doubling your yarn. If you aren't comfortable with tightening your cast on, I suggest you drawstring cast on. You're going to work flat because we're starting with the head, and you're going to knit 12 pegs for 5 rows. So this will be row 1. Again, if you don't feel comfortable with the tightening of the cast on, I would suggest doing a drawstring cast on. So you want to go ahead and pause the video here to complete your 5 rows, and we will move on from there. Now you want to knit 3 pegs. We're going to be starting on our ears, so go ahead and knit 3 pegs. And then the next 3 pegs you will be working your first ear, and you want to knit those 3 pegs for 4 rows. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then you're going to knit 2 pegs, then 1 peg, and then 2. So there's 2, and then there's 1, and then there's 2 right there. 1 and 2. And now you want to knit those 3 pegs for 4 rows. So there's going to be row 1, and then row 2, and then row 3, and row 4. And on the next 3 pegs, you're going to repeat the same thing you just did with the first ear to create the second ear. And you should have a point. Now, if you're finding you're not getting that point as sharp as you'd like, take a pencil eraser end tip and poke it up to get that point going. But again, repeat what you just did, and then you want to knit 3 rows after you completed your second ear. You want to knit 3 pegs to complete the row. So go ahead and pause the video here to complete your rows. Once you've done that, then you're going to knit 12 pegs for 3 rows, which is going to be the front of the face. Go ahead and pause the video to complete those rows. After you've completed those rows, this is what it should look like. And now we're going to do an internal decrease, and we're going to go from 12 pegs to 6 pegs. So go ahead, decrease by 3 on each side. So go ahead and lift up 5 pegs, and make sure that you put, there are 2 loops on those 3 pegs. So there's the second one with 2 loops on it. One, 2, and then 2 on that one. So there are 2 loops on those last 3 pegs, and we've just decreased by 3 on that end. We're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. So you're going to lift up 5 loops off the pegs. And you're going to place 1 on that other one, and then 2 on the next one. And then you're going to place 2 on the next one. Now you've just decreased by a total 6 pegs, and now you're going to knit 6 pegs for 3 rows, and you're going to toss both those loops over the top. But as you can see, we've just internally decreased from 12 to 6 loops, and so go ahead and knit your 6 pegs for 3 rows, and this is your snout area. You want to pause here to complete your rows. And you'll want to snip the end, and you'll notice that the ears look like the dog's ears is because I had filmed this originally with another camera and it didn't show up real well because it was too dark. Go ahead and drawstring cast off all the pegs, and so I refilmed sections, so I just refilmed where you could see the ears, but you're going to actually sew up the ears and the back of the head and that kind of thing. But the reason why is because it didn't show up real well, and because it's pretty much exactly the same as the dog, except the ears are different and the snout's shorter. It doesn't really make a whole lot of difference. You just need the information and seeing the ears. So you want to go ahead and sew up the snout and sew up the ears and close off the back of the head, just like you do the dog, as you can see. But again, the cat and the dog are pretty much the same. The body's the same, most of the head's the same. The snout's just shorter and the ears are different. And if you want, you can do the ears of the cat to and keep the snout longer to create a different breed of dog if you want to. This gives you the option. And then you want to go ahead and close off the back of the head after tightening your cast on, or you can drawstring it closed. It's up to you. And then you want to stuff your head and close off the back of the head. So again, you can change up the ears. Okay, here's the body. You want to E-wrap or drawstring cast on 12 pegs, and you're going to be working circularly. And you're going to knit those 12 pegs for a total of 10 rows, going round and round. So this will be row 1. Again, I would suggest doubling up your yarn, but because this was a refilm, I didn't double up. We're back at our starting point. So go ahead and pause the video to complete your rows. So you'll need to do 9 more rows because we just completed a first row. Let's go ahead and pause your video and complete your rows. After that, you're going to purl 12 pegs. And we're basically creating our bottom area. Okay, and what you want to do now is you want to knit 12 pegs for 3 rows, and this is going to be the bottom of the body where it will sit. And so here's row 2. And row 3. And go ahead and snip your end and drawstring cast off. ahead and drawstring the bottom and go ahead and close it off. And then after this, you'll want to tighten your cast on, or drawstring your cast on to a point where it's not closed completely. You want to be able to stuff. And remember, when you tighten your cast on from a circular motion, you go basically from left to right like reading, but you gotta find your tail and which loop to start with. So but yeah, if you don't feel comfortable with tightening that cast on, go ahead and drawstring cast on. It makes it easier for you. And go ahead and stuff your body. Next, we're going to work on the legs, and we're going to E-wrap or drawstring cast on 10 pegs. Then we're going to knit 10 pegs for 3 rows. So this is going to be row 1. So go ahead and pause the video to complete your rows. After that, you want to go in and decrease by 1 on each end, and this should leave you with 8 pegs, and you want to knit those 8 pegs. Let's go ahead and decrease by 1 on each end, and then knit 8 pegs. Now you'll want to knit 8 pegs for 6 rows. So here's going to be row 1. So go ahead and pause the video to complete your 6 rows total. So you got 5 more rows. And after that, you want to cast off whatever way you feel comfortable casting off. This is just my personal preference, but go ahead and cast off all your loops. Okay, and snip your end and pull through. And then you'll want to tighten your cast on, or you'll want to drawstring it to a point where it's smooth at the bottom. Okay, and you see what I mean by smooth, and go ahead and stretch out your decrease area, and then you'll want to sew up your bottom of it and your front, while leaving the top open to stuff. So your fatter end is the bottom, and you'll need to make 2 of these. So sew up the front, and then sew up the bottom and stuff. Next we're going to work on the back legs. And you want to E-wrap or drawstring cast on 12 pegs. And then you'll want to work flat and knit 12 pegs for 4 rows. So this is going to be row 1. Okay, and you'll want to pause the video here to complete your rows. Once you've done that, then you're going to cast off 2 pegs. So take the first loop and put it onto the next peg, toss the bottom loop over, and then knit, and then do it again. Take that loop, put it over on the next one, toss the bottom loop over, and knit, and now you want to knit all the way to the other end, so you're going to knit 10 pegs now. So now you're going to cast off 2 again, so take that loop, put it onto the next, toss the bottom loop over, and knit the peg, take that loop, put it onto the next peg, toss the bottom loop over, and knit, and now you want to knit 8 pegs. And you'll want to decrease by 1 on each end, and then you'll want to knit 6 pegs. And now you want to knit 6 pegs for 3 rows. So here's row 1. row 2, and row 3. Now you want to decrease by 1 on each end, and then you want to knit 4 pegs. At this point, you want to cast off whichever way that is going to be best for you. You're going to cast off all 4 pegs. Okay, and you're going to snip your end and pull through. And then you'll want to stretch it out. You'll want to tighten your cast on or drawstring it flat. Just go ahead and tighten your cast on or drawstring it flat, just like we did the leg. And then you'll want to fold it in half after you get done stretching out all the decreased areas and everything. You'll want to sew up the front and sew halfway up the bottom, and then you'll want to stuff and then finish sewing up the bottom. And you're going to want to make 2 of these. Let's go ahead and fold in half. And you want to sew up the front, sew halfway up the bottom, stuff, and then sew the rest of the way up and make 2. Now we're going to do the tail. And you want to cast on 3 pegs. And you'll want to knit 3 pegs for a total of 20 rows. And because you're doing it this way, it'll naturally curl up into a tube to be like a tail. So go ahead and pause the video to complete your 20 rows and then cast off whichever way you see fit. I'm going to kind of do a decrease with a single cast off, kind of like a drawstring. And then snip my end, pull on through. It should be a long tube. Okay, when assembling do the exact same thing as putting the mini dog together. So head onto body first, then the front legs under the snout, and then the back legs lined up with the ears on the side of the front, on the side of the body, and the tail in the back center. And once you've done that, you're done.